Hiatal hernia and fatigue, the vagus nerve link. Shallow breathing from hiatal hernia doesn't just cause reflux, it also drains your energy. When the diaphragm and vagus nerve stop working together, every breath takes more effort. This can leave you exhausted and anxious. So if this sounds familiar, we're going to jump into why this happens and what you can do about it. First of all, it's good to understand a little anatomy, which is that your vagus nerve travels the same pathway as your esophagus does. So the esophagus connects your mouth to your stomach, and the vagus nerve travels right along with your esophagus, and it passes through your diaphragm, which is a dome-shaped breathing muscle. But when you have a hiatal hernia, the stomach is pushing up through that diaphragm. 95% of hernias are sliding, so they push up, they come back down, push up, come back down. But when it's pushing up, or even the stomach spasming as it occurs with reflux, it's compressing the vagus nerve, irritating it, stretching it. A number of things can happen, none of them being normal. So when that irritation happens to your vagus nerve, it shifts from the type of activities it likes to do. It's called your parasympathetic nervous system, but it's all about rest, digest, and relax. That's what your parasympathetic nervous system does, and your vagus directs it to do so. But when it's irritated, it shifts you instead to your sympathetic, which you've heard about, your fight or flight nervous system. And when you're in fight or flight too chronically, meaning this is happening a lot, you get jittery and anxious and fatigued. So that's one way it happens. When you get in, so you want to be balanced, you want to be resting and digesting, you want to be excited about what you're doing. There should be a nice balance. But when the sympathetic state gets more dominant because of the vagus nerve irritation, then your body is in high alert. Your heart rate's a bit elevated. You secrete too much cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And so that chronic stress response, and I know some of you listening have experienced this, it's just very draining. And so that can lead to burnout and exhaustion. Some people call it adrenal gland fatigue or adrenal gland burnout, but it's a very real phenomena because your body's not supposed to be in that excited state all the time. This then leads to poor sleep, because when you're in the chronic stress response and you're secreting that stress hormone cortisol, it interferes with sleep, and insomnia can result. And then but it's a weird, tired, wired feeling that you can have, and that's why you can't sleep. You've been tired all day. You're finally like gonna go to sleep, and now you're wired and jittery. It's not a fun way to exist, for sure. But this is what can be at its cause for some people. Now, your vagus nerve is linked physically and functionally with your diaphragm. So what happens with hiatal hernia is that pushing up through the diaphragm or into the diaphragm creates shallow breathing. So instead of having that nice effortless flow of the diaphragm up and down with nice easy belly breathing, which is what should happen, now you've got more of the shoulder breathing happening, and it's shallow, it's inefficient, and it actually takes more effort. So you're literally getting fatigued because you're utilizing more effort to breathe. And I know some of you who suffer from shortness of breath know exactly what I mean, because like right now, I'm talking, I'm breathing, I'm not thinking about breathing, it's just happening. And that's what it should be. It should be effortless, unless you're running and you're really exercising hard. And then of course you notice yourself huffing and puffing. But people with this type of shortness of breath, they're noticing they're breathing and they're struggling to breathe, doing nothing, just sitting. So that can be quite exhausting. Also, your vagus nerve regulates your hormones. So when you're in the pain from hiatal hernia, because you get digestive pain, and you've got the reflux, which is irritating the tissues, and you've got the shortness of breath, this is keeping your stress pathways activated, because none of these things should be happening. You shouldn't be short of breath, you shouldn't be having acid reflux, and you shouldn't be in pain, or discomfort. So this gets all the stress pathways activated, and that again leads to low energy and restless sleep. So what do we have in common here? We have vagus nerve irritation, excuse me, as a result from hiatal hernia and chronic acid reflux. So to jump into how to fix this, we need to find you a clinician who understands what to do about these things naturally, if possible, which I think is very possible in most cases. So somebody who understands the integration of the vagus nerve with acid reflux and also understands how to get to the root cause of acid reflux, not just managing it with medications, sometimes that's needed, but there are alternatives. And so finding a clinician who understands both sides of the equation is very, very important. Now, that's a bit of a longer term issue, but it will make so much benefit in your long-term health. It is very well worth it. On a short term, what you can do immediately is work with your vagus nerve to try to get it more functional. And believe it or not, breathing techniques are very, very effective for your vagus nerve. Now, I'm not saying this is not the end-all be-all, but it's almost like exercising a muscle in a good way. So to exercise your vagus nerve, there's the breathing technique called box breathing. So that's simple. You can look up online how to do that. But then there's another technique that also works very well, which is also very easy, where you take a deep breath in and then you sort of top off the breath. I'll show you how that goes in a moment, but it's the deepest breath you can take in. Take a little extra to really get a full lung, and then you breathe out through pursed lips, like very, very, very slowly as you can. So you're going to draw out that breath, you sometimes feel like, oh, no, I got to take a breath in. Try to force yourself to keep breathing out, and then you have another great deep breath in. So I'll show you what I mean by this sort of double inhalation. So you see that little, okay, that was just, it's extra. Fill it up to the very top and then let it out very, 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 very slowly. And you'll get better at how slow you can do that. And what's nice about that and the box breathing is you'll get a bit of a relax coming over you, which feels great. The heart rate will slow down. So easy thing to practice, and then also finding that clinician who can help you. So I hope this information was valuable to you. If it was, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write me a comment. I love your comments. I answer pretty much every one. So if you have a question, if you have a comment, reach out and I will answer. Okay, we'll talk soon.